G'day everyone, it's Kelvin here from Discus. I want to talk about a very serious topic with you, and that's with regards to Discus plague. I think there's not enough topics on the internet that actually discuss this. The one thing that we should be aware of is that there is actually no cure for Discus plague. However, there is a way to minimize and also resolve any issues that come from Discus plague. So another name for Discus plague is cross-bacterial contamination. Originally, the Discus plague was thought to come from Asian Discus, and it was with mixing Asian Discus with German Discus that actually created this bacterial problem, which causes the fish to turn black, to have mucus, clamped fins, and also huddle together. And if the owner does not look at ways to resolve the issue quickly, the general outcome will be a total disaster or a total tank loss. It is, however, 100% of farms, 100% of importers, 100% of shops that sell Discus have experienced this one way or another. If your Discus seller has told you that they have never ever experienced Discus plague or cross-contamination, they're lying. This has occurred in every single person who has dealt with Discus, and also hobbyists who has kept Discus for a long time. Why should this topic be tabooed? We definitely should be talking more and more about this particular topic so that we have a greater understanding of bacterial infection. As a virus, it is very difficult to cure. The best way to describe the Discus bacteria infection is when you are mixing a Discus that has been in your environment for a long time and you introduce a Discus that has come from a different environment. Very quickly there has been a disagreement between the bacteria that is on the old Discus and the new Discus. And when this happens, the Discus metabolism goes into overdrive, and it actually produces a huge amount of mucus, an uncontrollable amount of mucus, and that makes the Discus feel extremely sick. And usually this happens on day 3 or day 4 of the introduction. Some people have UV sterilizers in their tank, and this is a fantastic way to avoid having these type of issues. So with a really good UV sterilizer in your tank, it can actually help you reduce the chances of you getting cross-contamination issues. But the better ways of actually avoiding cross-contamination is actually through prevention. So the first prevention is quarantine your fish. I have said in my other videos that whilst you can use products like Melafix or Fungus Cure, but it is not, and I repeat, the safest way to do so. The best way is to introduce your fish into a new environment, but actually in your household. Having a quarantine tank to initially place your new fish is very important. Try to keep them in there for, the consensus in the industry is 6 weeks. I believe the process that is required during the quarantine period is fundamentally to avoid cross-contamination, and it should be there for at least the first 2 weeks. Now during this time, what you should be doing is monitoring your fish. And remember, we said that the first 3 to 4 days, if anything is going to happen, it's going to happen during that time. So if you're not mixing Discus, but you have the fish in a quarantine tank, after 7 days, the fish that has traveled to your house is now stronger and is actually more used to the environment. So now it's also sharing probably bacteria that is very similar to what you have in your other fish tanks as well. Even though they have not been crossed and there's not been any water exchange between the tanks, they are used to the water that you're using in your area, and so they've also had the time to build up the immune system in your area. Within that first 7 days, you will know whether the fish will continue to be quite strong, and if so, then I would look to actually introduce one of your existing Discus in together with the fish in the quarantine tank. Now during this time, I would definitely recommend to use Melafix when you are introducing those fish together. This also reduces your chance of getting, again, cross-contamination issue. Watch for the first 3 to 4 days. In those first 3 to 4 days, if your Discus start to turn black or start to scratch itself or start to look unwell, then you need to be able to change up gears in your quarantine tanks very quickly. And that is using antibiotics, such as trisulfur, in your first 3 to 4 days. If the fish is only scratching or seeing some level of mucus on the tail or the clear fins, the back tail or the pectoral fins, that's where you can use trisulfur for a couple of days to see if there's any changes to that fish. If, however, you see that the clear fins are actually become quite milky or quite cloudy, then you know that you can't use trisulfur anymore. You immediately need to have a quarry cyclone into the tanks. Now, if you are able to catch this so quickly that within the first 3 to 4 days of the infection taking place, quarry cyclone will actually fix the issue within about 3 to 4 days. At maximum, perhaps a week. However, if you leave this behind for too long and you didn't catch it, for example, you've introduced a new fish and you've gone away for 7 days on a holiday, and when you come back, you've seen that your tank has actually gotten a cross-contamination issue, then this is still going to be your solution. However, it's going to take 5 to 6 weeks of you continuously using this medication to fix the issue. So remember, during cross-bacterial infection, it's not just the new discus that may get sick. Your old discus can also get sick as well. So the new discus could be a carrier but dormant, and you don't know that until you actually introduce your discus to it. Or alternatively, your discus could actually be the carrier and introducing that to the new discus. So we really don't know which one is which, but usually when there is a new discus being introduced is when these cross-bacterial issue will actually occur. So the other thing also is when you're doing treatment, you should be treating every single discus. This type of illness is not going to impact other fish like corydoras, tetras, and other cichlids, but it does actually only occur and cause harm to discus and angelfish. So if you've got any of these two species, they do all need to be treated. Unfortunately, when you're using a quarry cyclone, this is going to kill all of the beneficial bacteria in your filtration system as well. So you're best to remove the discus, have them in a quarantine tank or a medicating tank or hospital tank, and treating them there just on a sponge filter. So to give you guys an example, I had a customer that just came in today, had the similar sort of issues, had the cross-bacterial infection. He had all of these medication in his cabinet, jumped on the issue very, very quickly, and within 2 weeks, all his discus has come back to absolutely being normal, as if nothing's happened. So it's not all doom and gloom when it comes to cross-bacterial infection. It's just being able to act quickly, being able to be diligent in changing your water and so forth, and making sure that you monitor your discus progress. What you're going to find is that people are going to use excuses like, oh, this particular seller has sold you fish that are sick. That I can guarantee you not a single seller in the market is going to want to sell any sick discus to you. It's how you look at managing introduction of these new fish into your environment that is going to be more important. Don't forget, they are going to be your pet. So if you've selected these fish and they've come and they're actually healthy for the first 3 to 4 days, it isn't up to the store or the seller to understand what environment this fish is going into. So obviously it's important for you to have these products in your cabinet. Should something happen, you know exactly how to fix it. To assist our members, we've actually put together a package you can buy on the website. It's called the Discus Starter Pack. That'll give you basically all the medication that you're going to need. Hopefully that helps. So first 2 weeks, definitely be spending that time looking at whether or not the discus has any problem when it comes to cross-bacterial issues. Now, the other times where people have said you need to quarantine for 6 weeks, spend that time to do metronidazole treatments, fluke treatments, as well as worming your discus. Okay, so that takes up the full 6 weeks. Please, guys, this is something that will occur if you are not careful with the discus that you purchase. Try to minimize this as much as you can. But again, whilst it is a scary issue, you have the tools and the medication to resolve this issue yourself. Whilst I understand that this has been a really grim topic today, I think it's a very important topic because every single discus keeper, farm, seller, importer, all have to go through this particular problem and learn how to fix it. I hope that by us introducing this particular video to you, it's given you confidence to tackle this issue. So we really do appreciate you spending the time on this topic with us. I hope you all success with your discus keeping. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Thanks a lot.